Let's see a great gobble gobble to you and happy Thanksgiving. So, this is Sabby Sabbs talking about Kamala losing the black vote. So, we just went over FD signifier talking about why Kamala Harris lost, and he surprisingly gave a pretty liberal view. He's talking about misogyny and racism, which maybe had a little bit to play in it, but she was a terrible candidate all the way around. I think if she was a gleaming white man, that she would have lost had she done everything the exact same. So Sabby is probably my favorite news person to watch right now. She hits all the different news. She's from the left, but had you been watching Sabby from before the election, you would not have been surprised that Donald Trump won. Like, I wasn't surprised at all, and she's one of the reasons I wasn't surprised. But let's let her talk about it. This is a 30-minute video, so we may not get through it all. But, and if you're not, what do you call it? Subscribe to Sabby. You need to be. She's one of the best news people on the internet right now.
Kamala Harris lost Georgia, which I think we tried to tell you guys, but they're now
Sabby
finally admitting it. A couple of you sent this article to me. You guys got to see this. Democrats' Georgia losses linked to black voters staying home. What did we tell you? What did we tell you? Black people stayed home. I don't know how else to say it, right?
She was not
like
inspiring.
All these excuses of misogyny, of racism, and again, not to say there's none of that. There is some of that.
A little bit.
But the reality is, black people stayed home.
The black people
Miss
didn't vote for
Mississippi,
it.
I live in Metro Atlanta, and I stayed home. What'd I tell you?
Go vote green, though.
Stayed
Don't
home.
stay home, vote green.
So, as I've continued to say, Kamala Harris lost the black vote.
100%.
Let's get into it. Hey, 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 hey.
Hey, hey,
Here it
hey.
is. There's her and there's Trump. I'll make it a little bit bigger so you guys can read along with me. In the Peach State, almost all demographics had an increase in turnout from the 2020 election. Almost all, ladies and gentlemen. Only black voters decreased in turnout. So out of every demographic group in Georgia, it was only black voters that had a decrease.
So were the black voters racist
So the
against
whole
Kamala Harris?
people didn't support her because of her race doesn't apply in Georgia. Let's continue. This is what they don't want you to know. They got to admit it now. As a share of citizen voting age population, black voters were the only demographic with a decline in turnouts. Bah, bah, bah. If black turnout instead went up by 1.9 percentage points, like white turnout did, that would mean that 103,000 additional black voters in 2024 would have gone to that, right? So it said Trump won the state by 115,095 votes.
So
That's not to assume that all would vote for Harris.
Right, they would not vote
Still,
for her,
the
but she
numbers
still
are
would've
intriguing.
lost
In
it, seems.
2020, President Joe Biden had a 60.2% turnout of the black vote. In 2024, that dropped to 58.3% for Harris. What people have to understand is that 2%, 3%, 1% drop off of the black vote can cost you the election if you're a Democrat presidential candidate.
It did, and had the
You
Muslim
really can't
voters
afford to
in there.
lose us. That's why Obama knew this. That's why Obama said, problem is you brothers. You really can't afford to lose us. But the Democrats, they need to know that you ain't got it with us like that anymore.
No.
You don't have
not
us
at
wrapped
all.
around your finger anymore. The orange man bad and he's
Instead
going
of
to eat
staying
you
home,
and deport you. And even
vote
if
for
you're an
somebody
American
else,
citizen,
anybody
he's going to
else.
kick you out of the country. Doesn't work anymore. Hillary Clinton received a larger percentage of the black vote than Kamala Harris, and even Hillary Clinton lost. The black vote has continued to decline since Barack Obama.
Because he was such a disappointment.
It goes on to
And a
say,
supermajority didn't pass
Dr.
universal
Alvin
healthcare.
Tillery, who's a Democratic strategist, pollster, and professor at Northwestern. This is what he goes on to say here, is that he doesn't believe it was a problem with Harris as a candidate, but a messaging problem from the party. See, here we go with the messaging. It's a messaging problem.
So it was a little
It has
bit of
nothing to
both.
do with
They had a bad
economics.
message, but
Democrats ran a
they didn't know
very
about the economics. They
undifferentiated
didn't message
campaign from
economics-
Republicans.
economics
They
well.
gave her a Herculean task. Harris did everything asked of her. And that's a big part of the problem.
Nonsense.
You did everything asked of you.
Well,
You didn't
asked of her
stand
by
out
the
on your
donors,
own.
not
You
by
didn't
the
separate
people.
yourself from Joe Biden. The economy was trash. You didn't want to accept the reality of that. Everything that was asked of her. And that's why she lost. He also pointed to a general shift among young black voters. There is generational change happening in the black community where the millennial and the Gen Z black voters are less committed to the Democratic Party. Say it again, fam.
Right.
There is generational
Leave 'em.
change happening in the black
Get
community
off the Jones
where the
plantation.
millennial and the Gen Z black voters are less committed to the Democratic Party. Why would that be, folks? Simple economics. We went over the economics in the Morning Joe video. Millennials and Gen Z, we are very much affected. We've been affected by the housing crisis. Then we have to go to the pandemic. We have been very much impacted. And the Democratic Party hasn't done anything for us.
Housing crisis, pandemic.
Time to
We've gone through some
change. A lot of people, those turned out for the first time in 2020 to vote for Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. But then they spent the entire 4 years being told their legislative priorities couldn't get done by the Democrats. And they never planned on getting it done. People run on things they think you want to hear just so you'll come out and vote for them. That doesn't mean they actually plan on accomplishing these things.
They do nothing.
Would be interesting if they did, but that isn't what it means. This was a
think Bernie
major
would've done what
concern
he
for
was
the Harris
talking about.
campaign going into the election. Experts began warning that her support among minority groups was waning. So did everybody hear this? Going into the election, they already knew. They been knew.
So, like I was saying in all my videos, I knew Kamala probably wasn't going to win. And if you pay attention to the news from the right and the left, like the far right obviously was saying she wasn't going to win. And the far left was saying she wasn't going to win. The only people saying she's gonna that she had a good chance was going to win are the liberals and the centrists. And they normally don't know what they're talking about when it comes to politics. So I'm going to leave this here. Sabby Sabbs, look her up. She's a great YouTuber. If you want to be in the know about politics, you need to watch Sabby, especially if you want to know what left-wing people are thinking. Watch me, watch Sabby, Hard Lens Media, look up Non-Compete, Bad Mouse. There's a few others. R.M. Brown is a good one. But until next time, have a good time.